Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today, we're going to be discussing Professor Horace Slughorn and his famed Slug Club, a club which can best be described through the wise words of Albus Dumbledore. Horace, said Dumbledore, relieving Harry of the responsibility to say any of this, likes his comfort. He also likes the company of the famous, the successful, and the powerful. He enjoys the feeling that he influences these people. He has never wanted to occupy the throne himself. He prefers the back seat. More room to spread out, you see. He used to handpick favourites at Hogwarts, sometimes for their ambition or their brains, sometimes for their charm or their talent, and he had an uncanny knack for choosing those who would go on to become outstanding in their various fields. Horace formed a kind of club of his favourites with himself at the centre, making introductions, forging useful contacts between members, and always reaping some kind of benefit in return, whether a free box of his favourite crystallized pineapple, or the chance to recommend the next junior member of the Goblin liaison office. But before we dive into the club any further, I think we should first examine the man behind its creation. Horace Slughorn. Professor Horace Eugenius Flaccus Slughorn was a pure-blood wizard born sometime in the late 1800s. In his youth, Slughorn attended Hogwarts and was sorted into Slytherin House. During his time at the school, he was said to be particularly skilled in the art of potion making. Years later, in 1931, Slughorn returned to Hogwarts to serve as potions master and head of Slytherin House. He remained in this position for nearly 5 decades. As far as physical appearance is concerned, Slughorn was certainly hard to miss. When we first encounter him in The Half-Blood Prince, we're met with a delightfully larger-than-life persona, an enormously fat, bald man with a belly so immense that the buttons on his waistcoat were threatening to burst off. In addition to his rotund physique, Slughorn was described as having a shiny pate, prominent gooseberry-coloured eyes, and an enormous, silver, walrus-like moustache. He was also known to be particularly fond of lavish, old-fashioned clothes, sporting waistcoats with gold buttons during the day, and luxurious velvet smoking jackets when at home. But somehow, Slughorn's personality still seemed to outshine his over-the-top physical appearance. First and foremost, Slughorn possessed a unique ability to captivate those around him with his natural charisma. His larger-than-life personality would draw people in like moths to a mesmerizing flame. Through his affable demeanor and infectious enthusiasm, he created an aura of warmth that would make you feel instantly at ease in his presence, though there was also a bit of an inexplicable undertone of vanity. Harry wasn't sure whether he liked Slughorn or not. He supposed he had been pleasant in his way, but he had also seemed vain. But there was also a lot more to Slughorn than meets the eye. You see, beneath his jovial exterior lay an exceedingly cunning mind with a sharp intellect. But perhaps Slughorn's most well-known trait was his talent for identifying extraordinary potential in his students. Interestingly, it was this same trait that led to Slughorn's undoing, forcing him into retirement in the year 1981. You see, one student that caught Slughorn's eye went by the name of Tom Riddle, a boy that we later learn would grow up to become none other than Lord Voldemort. During Riddle's time at school, Slughorn spent a lot of time mentoring Riddle, and on one fateful day, Riddle was able to manipulate Slughorn into giving him information about Horcruxes. Fearing that people would find out, Slughorn retired from his post at the school. However, Slughorn made a reappearance in 1996 when Dumbledore dangled the prospect of teaching Harry Potter in front of him. The Slug Club. Horace Slughorn's Slug Club was an out-of-hours dining and social club made up of his most well-liked and famous students. The club provided its members with unique opportunities, mentorship, and access to influential contacts, opening doors for their future successors. Its origins date back to when he first began teaching at the school in 1931. You see, Slughorn had a keen eye to identify if someone would go on to achieve greatness in some capacity, and would take great pride in their accomplishments. While we are given some indication as to who is actually in this club in the books and films, we aren't provided with a complete list. Names are mentioned, and in the film adaptation, Slughorn's wall is shown, where he proudly displays the members of his club. But we want to know more. In the beginning of The Half-Blood Prince, Dumbledore instructs Harry to try and become chosen by Slughorn. "I tell you all this," Dumbledore continued, "not to turn you against Horace, or as we must now call him, Professor Slughorn, but to put you on your guard. He will undoubtedly try to collect you, Harry. You would be the jewel of his collection, the boy who lived, or as they call you these days, the chosen one." When Harry first meets Slughorn, Slughorn immediately mentions the similarities between Harry and his parents. Slughorn then discusses Harry's mother, Lily, and expresses that she was one of his absolute favourites. Unable to contain himself any longer, Slughorn directs Harry towards the shelf featuring all of his favourites. "All mine, each and every one. Ex-students, I mean. You recognise Barnabus Cuffe, editor of the Daily Prophet. Always takes my owl should I wish to register an opinion on the news of the day. Gwenog Jones, captain of the Holyhead Harpies. Free tickets whenever I want them. Of course, I haven't been to a match in some time. Ah yes, Regulus Black. No doubt there is his older brother Sirius, died a few weeks ago. I taught the whole Black family, except Sirius. It's a shame, a talented boy. I got Regulus when he came along, of course, but I'd have liked the set." The way that Slughorn discusses his students makes it sound as though they are his possessions. However, one thing is undeniable: all of them went to achieve some sort of fame or success. Without further ado, here is the full list of Slughorn's favourites, in alphabetical order, from Slughorn's first and second tenure as Potions Master. Adrian. Adrian was a student in Slughorn's class in the year 1978, during his first tenure as Potions Master. Adrian was born in the year 1960, and maintained a good relationship with Slughorn after he graduated from Hogwarts. Though Adrian went on to become a successful photographer for the Daily Prophet, Slughorn always had higher expectations for him. Abraxas Malfoy. Abraxas Malfoy was a pure-blood wizard, father to Lucius Malfoy and grandfather to Draco Malfoy. Abraxas ended up becoming a good friend of Slughorn's, a fact that Draco Malfoy later tried to leverage when he would name-drop his grandfather in an attempt to join the Slug Club. It's unconfirmed whether Abraxas was actually in the Slug Club, or if he was just friends with Slughorn. I imagine that they were probably around the same age. Ambrosius Flume. Ambrosius Flume was a British wizard and business owner. Flume was the proprietor of the popular Honeyduke sweet shop located in Hogsmeade. Though Flume ran the shop, he was not the original owner, as the shop was first opened in 1641. Honeyduke's is famous for its Bertie Bott's every flavour beans, among other things. Avery. Avery was a pure-blood wizard who attended Hogwarts at the same time as Tom Riddle. He was part of Tom Riddle's gang that would eventually go on to become the first Death Eaters. They were known as the Knights of Walpurgis. Avery was a student of Slytherin House, and is actually pictured in the film adaptation. Barnabus Cuffe. Barnabus Cuffe was a pure-blood wizard that became editor-in-chief for the Daily Prophet. Cuffe was presumably the employer of fellow Slug Club member Adrian. In order to join the club, it's likely that Cuffe was either A, an exceptional student, or B, came from a famous magical background. Slughorn points Cuffe out to Harry first when Harry begins to observe his wall of favourites. "You recognise Barnabus Cuffe, editor of the Daily Prophet. Always takes my owl should I wish to register an opinion on the news of the day." Blaise Zabini. Blaise Zabini was a pure-blood wizard that attended Hogwarts around the same time as Harry Potter. He was a member of Slytherin House and was on good terms with Draco Malfoy and his gang. Blaise was a quiet boy that mostly kept to himself, although on various occasions he expressed his extreme prejudice towards muggles, muggleborns, and blood traitors. BC. We see the initials BC scribbled onto a photograph that is on Slughorn's wall of favourites. BC appears to be some sort of mountain climber, and is depicted on some sort of a snowy mountaintop. It's possible that BC may be Barty Crouch Jr. or Barty Crouch Sr., though it's unlikely that it would have been the former, as Slughorn completely disassociates himself from Death Eaters. Cormac McLaggen. Cormac McLaggen is Hermione's favourite. Not serious. Cormac McLaggen is a British pure-blood wizard and a member of the McLaggen family, which Slughorn knew well. In the Slug Club, Slughorn and McLaggen had the following exchange. "Now you, Cormac, I happen to know you see a lot of your uncle Tiberius, because he has a rather splendid picture of the two of you hunting nogtails in, I think, Norfolk? Oh yeah, that was fun, that was. We went with Bertie Higgs and Rufus Scrimger. This was before he became minister, obviously. Dahlia F. Dahlia F is pictured on Slughorn's wall in the film adaptation of The Half-Blood Prince. It's likely that she was an opera singer, as she is shown wearing a full Viking maiden costume in the picture on his shelf. It has been speculated that her full name is Dahlia Fleur Perry, though that is not confirmed. Dirk Cresswell. Dirk Cresswell is a Muggle-born wizard that became head of the Goblin liaison office in the Ministry of Magic. During the ministry takeover by Lord Voldemort, Cresswell attempted to hide his heritage by forging a family tree. However, he was later found out. Cresswell was eventually murdered by snatchers while on the run. Eldred Worple. Eldred Worple was a pureblood wizard and Slug Club member that would go on to become a successful writer. Worple is shown in the film adaptation of The Half-Blood Prince at the Christmas dinner. Worple was friends with a vampire named Sanguini and wrote a book entitled Blood Brothers, My Life Amongst the Vampires. Flora Carrow. Flora Carrow was a British witch and member of Slytherin House. Though it is not explicitly stated, I would imagine that she is somehow related to Death Eaters Alecto and Amicus Carrow. It's likely that Flora and her sister Hestia were members of the Slug Club due to their pureblood heritage. Ginny Weasley. Ginny Weasley was a pureblood witch and member of the Weasley family, the sister to Bill, Charlie, Percy, Fred, George and Ron. Ginny would go on to achieve great things, eventually becoming a professional Quidditch player for the Holyhead Harpies. She also married Harry Potter, and the pair had 3 children, James, Albus and Lily. Gwenog Jones. Gwenog Jones was a Welsh witch who began attending Hogwarts in the year 1979. Gwenog is pictured on Slughorn's shelf in the film adaptation of The Half-Blood Prince. After graduating from Hogwarts, Gwenog would go on to become the captain and beater of the Welsh all-female Quidditch team, the Holyhead Harpies. Harry Potter. Okay, you might just know this character. I'll skip the introduction, but Harry easily became a member of Slughorn's club after allowing himself to become collected. He did this by doing exceedingly well in Slughorn's potions class with the help of the Half-Blood Prince's potion book. However, with Harry's reputation, it's likely that Slughorn would have eventually collected him, regardless of how well he performed in the class. Hermione Granger. Hermione was a Muggle-born witch and member of the famous trio. She was an exceptionally gifted witch and by far the best student of her year. For this reason, it was inevitable that she would be picked up by Horace for his Slug Club. Though it is particularly impressive as Horace was a bit prejudiced towards Muggle-borns. Hermione would eventually go on to become Minister for Magic. Hestia Carrow. The sister of Flora Carrow and another member of the Carrow family, like Flora, it's likely that she is somehow related to Death Eaters Amicus and Alecto Carrow. At the beginning of the Battle of Hogwarts, Hestia and her sister were seen departing to the dungeons. Lestrange. Lestrange is another name that we hear quite a bit. Lestrange, like Avery, is one of the original members of Tom Riddle's gang, the same gang that would go on to become Death Eaters. Lestrange is shown in a flashback in the film adaptation of The Half-Blood Prince. It's likely that Lestrange was the father of Rodolphus Lestrange, who would later marry Bellatrix. Lily Evans. Lily Evans was a Muggle-born witch and Harry Potter's mother. She was an impressive witch with a particular talent in potions, making her one of Slughorn's favorites. When Voldemort attempted to murder her and her family, she went on to cast the famous Sacrificial Protection, which saved Harry's life and ended Voldemort for a period of time. Lucius Malfoy. A bit of a sleazebag, Lucius Malfoy was a pure-blood wizard that came from the famous Malfoy family. He was the father of Draco Malfoy and son of Abraxas Malfoy, who was a friend of Slughorn's. It is stated that during Lucius's time at school, he was exceptionally gifted at potions, earning the attention of Horace Slughorn. Though Lucius was a loyal Death Eater for many years, him and his family eventually defected from the Death Eaters. Melinda Bobbin. Melinda Bobbin was a British witch who attended Hogwarts at the same time as the trio. Bobbin's family owned a large chain of apothecaries, and for this reason alone, she was invited into the Slug Club. Knot. Knot was a pureblood wizard and one of the earliest Death Eaters. The Knot family were part of the Sacred 28, the 28 pureblood British families that were still truly pure blood by the time the 1930s rolled around. Knot was likely a member of Tom Riddle's gang, and was a friend of Slughorn for many years. Slughorn would later cut ties with Nott, as Nott would go on to do unthinkable things in the name of the Death Eaters. Regulus Black. Regulus Black was a pure-blood wizard and member of the famous Black family. He was the son of Orion and Walburga Black, and younger brother of Sirius Black. Regulus was a member of Slytherin House, and would go on to become Seeker for their Quidditch team. In the film adaptation of Half-Blood Prince, Slughorn points out a photo of him and Regulus to Harry. Ah yes, Regulus Black. No doubt there is his older brother Sirius, died a few weeks ago. I taught the whole Black family, except Sirius. It's a shame, a talented boy. I got Regulus when he came along, of course, but I'd have liked the set. Severus Snape. Severus Snape was a half-blood wizard, potions master, defense against the dark arts professor, Hogwarts headmaster, and Death Eater defector. Snape was invited to join the Slug Club because of his obvious talent in the art of potion making. While a student at Hogwarts, Snape assumed the alias the Half-Blood Prince and wrote all sorts of tips and tricks into his copy of advanced potion making. Harry would later find Snape's copy of the book. Tom Riddle. Tom Riddle is also known as the Dark Lord Voldemort. Riddle was, like Harry, one of Slughorn's absolute favourites. While a student at Hogwarts, Riddle was a very impressive student who expressed an unparalleled ability to learn. There is one particular branch of magic, however, that Riddle may have learned a little too much about. It has been expressed that Slughorn was responsible for providing Riddle with information on Horcruxes, which were instrumental in Voldemort's rise to power. Unknown name, Slughorn's class of 67. Though we don't know the name of this Slug Club member, we know that someone in Slughorn's class of 67 would go on to become the Minister of Magical Transportation. Wendy Slinkhard. The last member of Horace's Slug Club is Wendy Slinkhard, who was a British witch and author. In the film adaptation of The Half-Blood Prince, Slinkhard is shown in a photograph on Slughorn's wall. It's likely that Slinkhard is related to Wilbert Slinkhard, who is the author of Defensive Magical Theory, a book that teaches defensive magic in a secure, risk-free way. And there you have it, the Slug Club. From its exclusive membership to the invaluable opportunities it provides, this group is a highlight of the Hogwarts experience. But beyond the prestige and networking possibilities, the Slug Club ultimately holds a deeper lesson. As we see in Slughorn's own journey, the connections we foster with those around us can shape our paths and transform our perspectives. The power of mentorship, guidance, and genuine connection cannot be overstated, and it is these elements that make the Slug Club not just a fascinating facet of the magical world, but also a reflection of the importance of community in our own lives. And that's it for this video. If you enjoyed the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to check out the content on Spotify, as well as my second channel, Harry Potter Theory Extra. Until next time, remember, there can be no light without the dark, and so it is with magic. Myself, I always strive to live within the light.